Spoken Labour.
I went to sleep that night without knowing it would be the last night I ever spent in that bed at my parents' house in London. Meredith, my mum shook me awake. The room was dark, making it obvious it wasn't morning yet, or not time to get up for school anyway. Mum, I mumbled in my half-asleep state. It's time to go. Everything I told you about those stories is true. It's time for you to leave us so you can train to be a protector. Your dad and I, we've done everything we possibly can to prepare you.
First Charge is the first book in the Destiny Initiative series by Amanda Steele. The book can be purchased in paperback from Amazon. The ebook can also be purchased on Kindle, Kobo, Apple Books, and many others. Spoken Labour.
Have you ever thought about what Santa Claus would be like as a zombie? Or maybe you've wondered how he would cope with climate change, Brexit, or any number of issues facing the UK and beyond. Probably not, but if you're now wondering, you can buy The 12 Deaths of Father Christmas by Amanda Steele. It's a collection of flash fiction stories with accompanying images in which Santa dies in different ways. There's a political slant to many of the pieces and added sarcasm. This is not for children.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas! Ho, 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 ho.
Spoken Label. Thank you today for tuning in to Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up at the beginning of 2016 and as of recording has over 200 sessions in our archive. Although the podcast can be heard on Anchor, iTunes, Apple, Spotify, YouTube and literally 10 or 11 other networks, the full archive can be found at Spoken Label, all one word, spokenlabel.bandcamp.com. On Bandcamp, it is set as pay what you want, so you are entitled, if you wish, you can download it or stream it for nothing. But if you throw me a couple of pennies my way, it is always eternally grateful to help me maintain the operating costs and future running costs of the podcast. Enjoy. Spoken Label.
Hi guys, Andy N, Spoken Label, back in the house on a Saturday night as well, and Halloween as well. Now, hopefully tonight, the young lady I'm speaking to from Stoke-on-Trent isn't going to give me a nightmare, so let's hope this is a nice, smooth night. But it's come from a recommendation from a poet friend of Spoken Labels. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are, where you come from, and we'll start from there.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Lily, and I live in Stoke-on-Trent. And I like poetry.
Where did your love of poetry come from originally?
It kind of started in high school, really. The first time I ever wrote a poem was one of the acrostic ones that you do on like World Book Day or whatever, and you had to do like a character or something. So say it was Harry Potter, and then you did the ever since high school really, I started to sort of dip into poetry and sort of try my hand at things and different styles, and obviously you have to study it as well. Yeah. So it kind of just inspired me, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's fair play. I started really well, at 11 really, and I'm 47 now. So I've just carried on, and it's just, I think when it bites you sometimes, you just know it's not going to stop, don't you? So that's why. Yeah. So yeah, completely with that. So was there any writers that really grabbed you when you were growing up in your writing? And you could put down inspirations or influences?
I mean, I'm really into sort of romantic, as far as poetry goes, like romantic poetry and sort of gothic poetry as well. So I like Edgar Allan Poe and stuff like that.
Perfect. Perfect this time of year, definitely.
Yeah, it is. I think I really like sort of older poetry as such, like the sort of classic things and novels as well. That sort of style of language really, I suppose, influences my poetry.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I always find it really interesting to read more modern writers as well.
Yeah, which modern writers have really you found really interesting recently? Then? Is anybody you can name?
I'm trying to think. Not specifically. I read a lot of like different things, so I don't really have a favorite in particular. No.
No, cool. The cool. There's no problem with that. I was always believers. It's always good if you vary and stuff. Anyway, certainly. So now I know obviously one thing I want to talk about next is you were recently Young Poet Laureate, weren't you, of Staffordshire? So I want to know about, first of all, how you found out about this, and tell us about the application process for people who are interested.
Well, I found out about it from my English teacher. She was really supportive of my writing, and she said that I should go for it. She actually mentioned it to the whole class first.
Oh, wow.
And, and I was the only one who went for it. And the application process, I had to send in a couple of poems, one about the area that I would be Poet Laureate for, so Staffordshire, and another one could just be anything. And then after that, they would shortlist 6 poets, and then you would have to physically go somewhere. We went to Stafford, and everybody was there, and it was a really nice atmosphere. It didn't feel really competitive and heavy. It just felt quite friendly, but there was always that thing, is like, well, one person's gonna get it. And we had to read a couple of poems in front of the other applicants and some judges. And I got the role on that day. It was a really nice feeling, especially when I could tell my English teacher that I got it as well.
Good one. Okay, tell us about then, obviously, next step. What you did on your year as a Young Poet Laureate then for Staffordshire. Because this is quite, I've spoken to a couple of Poet Laureates. You were the first one I've come across as a Young Poet Laureate in the area. So that's why I'm really interested to learn what you did.
So, as Young Poet Laureate, I only had the year. So, I felt that I really wanted to sort of do quite a lot. In the end, I did a couple of workshops, and that was really fun. It was really nice to sort of.
Was that the first time you'd actually done workshops? Was it then at that stage?
Yeah, it was. But to be honest, I didn't really do like poetry, like performing it or anything like that before I got the role. It was the role that really started all of that for me.
Oh, right. So it's like that was the beginning of your journey then, really, wasn't it? So yeah, cool.
Yeah. And I did some like comparing as well, which was really fun.
That's nerve-wracking.
In control, but yeah, it was. And I worked a lot with sort of younger children, like sort of early high school, primary school. Did some things with the adult poet laureate as well, Emily Galvin. And that was great to sort of have somebody to work with, like a counterpart. Yeah. That's what's nice about having like the young and the adult poet laureate.
Yeah, I've heard of the point you mentioned. I've not met her or spoke to her. I know what you mean, and I know she's done a lot, and that was to give you a chance to learn. So you learn something from working with her, don't you? So.
Oh, definitely, yeah. She really influenced how I read out my poetry. I can tell that from that year that my poetry reading really developed and changed, and it was from watching her in part.
Oh, fantastic. So obviously, when you're in your term of that finished, I know obviously you've gone forward now. You've just bought your first book out, haven't you, as well? Which is has the cunning title of. It's got to say it's cunning, this of work in progress, which I like that. Obviously we'll come on to the content of the book. I read a good chunk of it. What made you use the title work in progress as a title for a book?
Well, in part, it was because a lot of the poetry that's in there, there's some things that are unfinished, and sort of posing a challenge to people to sort of end or like carry on with the poem. But also it was because I felt, especially at the time I first started thinking, oh, maybe I want to put something together, I thought, well, this is my first one, and my style may change after I've put it together. And it felt very much sort of true to me that I was still a work in progress as well. And yeah.
Over what length of period was this first book wrote? And was it come together quite quickly, or has it been wrote over a certain amount of time?
Well, it did come together fairly quickly because it includes poetry that is from my term as Young Poet Laureate. So it was sort of stuff that I've written throughout the year, and a bit before and a bit after. And I sort of set everything out on, like, dining room table and sort of things.
Brilliant.
I want this one, I don't want this one, all these sticky notes.
I work like that. I work like that. When I'm getting a book together, I've done 4 so far for years, and I remember my first one, it was like, second book it was actually. I had about 200 poems I could have put in it, and I was putting them on a big table thinking, yes. Were you like that? Were you some cases like did your opinion keep changing? You taught the book out.
Yeah, definitely. I know there was some even on the first draft copy, and I read it through when I got the first copy through, which is very exciting because you've actually got like a physical thing. And I read a couple of them and I thought, no, I don't want that in the book anymore. So yeah, it was one of those things where I was being quite brave with some of the stuff that I put in there because it was unfinished, and like the work in progress, or it was just random lines slotted together or random little bits. But I really wanted to keep that essence, so I had to sort of take my editing hat off and sort of allow some rawness to be in there.
Yeah, I think you do is you try and get the idea. I know what you're trying to get at with this, because I've done lots of collaborative pieces of work for people over the years, and you're deliberately leaving it unfinished sometimes on the first draft stage to let the other person then do their mark on it. You're just doing it with the reader, and I think that's a really interesting move what you've done there. So that's why definitely. So now, okay, I want to learn about next. And obviously, like I said, is you've talked about your writing, performing before as well. Tell us about your first experiences performing then when you were a poet laureate. Did you find it quite a nerve-wracking experience?
It was, I think, especially since I was sort of an infant in the open mic poetry reading. It was nerve-wracking. I did feel slightly unconfident, I suppose, that maybe people wouldn't like what I was reading. But especially getting the role of poet laureate really helped my confidence along. And yeah, I mean, I do drama as well, so that's performing. Yeah, that really helped with the reading of the poetry.
Oh, cool. So have you carried on your drama since you left college, have you, or is that a school, should say? Is that something you want to carry on with, or in the future?
It isn't. It is just a hobby, but it is something that I really enjoy, and it's really cool to sort of embody somebody else and be that character. Yeah.
Cool. What's been your favourite play you've been in so far? Then, have you had any particular favourites in your plays you've acted in?
Oh, you're asking. We did a little sort of cut down version of Macbeth, and I was Lady Macbeth. That was very fun because she's a character that you can really sort of get into. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, I did Macduff when I was at uni. I played Macduff, and he was really, I love playing Macduff. Just give me a chance to be more ruthless, basically, because Macbeth obviously just lost the plot like Lady Macbeth did. But I loved Macduff, because Macduff is just, I think he's arguably more evil, because he just seems to, what a dark character. No, brilliant, great choice. So, do you have any sort of plans what you're looking at next for your creativity? So we'll talk about your book in a moment, because I know the launch is tomorrow. Obviously, this will be out some time after.
As far as next steps go, I'm very much seeing how I feel in the moment. I'm still doing a lot of open mics and things like that. And I have started looking at my poems, and I'm even thinking about, so when's my next collection going to come out? But because it has been a time since the last poem in work in progress. So my poetry style has sort of developed and changed since then a little. So sort of building up to the next collection, I suppose.
Yeah. You've got to look at that when you're a writer. I have things in folders. Maybe sometimes more than one folder when we go at once. But you're right. I think it's when you've got one book done in your system, you're always looking for the next book then. So definitely that. So yeah, good luck with it. Now, obviously, the last but one thing I want to talk about you is obviously about the launch, isn't it? Now, your launch is obviously going to be before this goes live. But we'll tell people then obviously about your launching tomorrow. You're doing it on Zoom, aren't you? I know. And did you say you had some guests with you as well, didn't you?
Yes. So I've asked some people to be featured poets, and then I have got a little open mic at the end. Which I think will be fun. I've always wanted to sort of host an event, so I never know, maybe I'll do some more of that after this. I'm going to be doing some reading from the book, and Mel Wardle Woodend is published this anthology for me, so she'll be there talking a bit about the publishing process, and I'm going to have a little sort of Q&A session as well, which will be nice.
Good luck with it, definitely. So love Mel. She's very, very supportive lady, as you know yourself already, don't you? So I know she's helped out so many people at the moment. So good luck with definitely with that one. So now, if people want to find out more about you, Lily, where are they best going?
Facebook is my main poetry sort of hub, I suppose. Really.
Yeah, that's going to be. I know your book's available on Amazon. The book tab. I was looking at it before actually, before we started chatting. Is it available anywhere else yet, or is it just Amazon at the moment?
It's just Amazon at the moment. There are some copies actually with me as well, which I'm advertising. They're going to be personalised with a little message from me. So they're also available, but yes, just on Amazon at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, well, that's all my questions for today. So what we'll do is, everybody, hang around because Lily's going to read out a couple of poems for us next. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you again, Lily. End of part one. See you all soon, guys.
Spoken Label.
Hi, guys. And the end. Still here with Lily. Lily now is going to read out a few poems for us. She's going to do a few from the book and a few not from the book. So I'm looking forward to this. Over to you, Lily.
Hey, thank you. So this first one is called Mask. Cracking skin, breaking bones, makeup on face masking streaked undertones. Wink with a grin, giggle using your eyes. Shred the heart from my throat as lies choke through, sinking, swaying as a bird in the rain. Respect and admiration and like and promise If only they knew I'm not being honest. Chests are grievous, seconds are withering, every second spent unproductive as time unforgiving. Speckled ceilings blurry from inability to focus. Locust, crawling behind those eyes, constant and tedious, grinding at the cerebral cortex, also medulla, cerebellum, talum, wrap, and leech, so relaxation does cease. All I want to do is sleep. Cracking skin, breaking bones, makeup on face, masking streaked undertones. The bird has fallen, it's lying still. Its mask is gone, and inside reads kill. Thank you.
Really, it's very, very evocative, that one, straight away. So, what was the inspiration behind that poem then?
So that one was quite personal. It was very much
felt it straight away then, yeah.
Yeah, it was very much about sort of hiding, and this face I sort of put on when I went out anywhere to school or whatever. And then when I came back, I felt like I was being a different person. So yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, I really felt that. Was that because obviously I always believe in poetry, there's various ways you can write them. Was that a poem that came across several drafts? It felt quite multi-textual to me that way. So obviously it wasn't a poem you read in about 15 minutes. I could feel it straight away.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. I probably did a few drafts of it before it went into the book, and then when the book was actually, this is from the book, when that was, I got the first printed copy. I edited it again. It was the last stanza really that was the one that I really wanted to make sure I got right.
Yeah, no, it showed you attention to detail. Very, very, very good stuff indeed. Okay, I won't keep you dangling with that poem. What's your next one you're going to read for us?
So the next one is called The Stars That Try. It's actually one of the poems that I read at the Poet Laureate sort of judging day. Yeah, it's more hopeful, I suppose, than the other one. So okay. This is The Stars That Try. Lunar stares meet animalistic adrenaline as I gaze from my bedroom window. Training, pushing, gaining, losing, palms and feet, bruising, all because I'm choosing this pathway built way above my crown of incapability. Feelings fester and chortle under breaths, doubts like harpoons into the Methodist's chest. Why must I do this? I need it so badly. Bones grating against intent, rapid and madly. Medical obligations leaving bills in their wake, softly cindering desire succumbing to the snake. But now I take this in my hands. Control passes over, washes over, takes every breath from my body until I can hardly. Time continues rapidly slow. Days come, days go. Past experience, pain, forgotten in the now, all because willpower introduced somehow. A fresh beginning, a new approach of perseverance and single pure hope. I can do it. I do it in the present. My improvements, indestructible. The moon smiles with its crescent. Thank you.
Oh, I love the last part of that poem again. You are very, very strong. The way you finish your poems, I know it's I've read your book before. I love that it's indestructible right at the end of it about the moon. Yeah, oh, impressive. Impressive again. Again, that's another poem you get everybody wondering. I can tell you straight away that's come from multi drafts straight away. And I know, excellent. Really, really enjoyed that. I'm not going to plague you with questions on this one, so we'll move straight on. Okay, what's your third piece, Lily?
So this third one is a much more recent poem. So it's not in the book. And this is called Addiction. Who are you but the ghost of my freedoms, the heart of my purse waving goodbye in the midnight blossom? The clarity we seek or coffin harmony dancing on the breeze of angels. A loving beats on my skin as the rain falls across a crucified sky into replenishing waters of ivory or crunching snow in glassware cases. Where are you outside the pink clouds of euphoria? I am lost, losing my mind to a false cause with cracking skin and ruptured fears. Finding myself again through a smog, black, thick, torn at the edges. My body survives my mind, but I turn and wince as a scythe cuts my wrists. Where am I when the wind drops and clouds burst, letting lungs from their grip while we grapple for air? I am nowhere. Thank you.
Yeah, superb. And that, yeah, completely. I can see why. Compare your first two poems to that one. I can see a difference in your writing. But that one, obviously, I think your books are really good books that I've seen of it. This looks like it's something you can tell as a writer you're starting to move in a different direction. So now I've really enjoyed that. Fantastic. So, okay, now we were talking about 4 or 5 pieces before. Is 5 okay for you to read?
Yeah. Yeah.
On to number 4 then.
Okay, so this fourth one, just find it, is called Empty Frames. It was inspired by a black and white photograph of an empty frame. But yeah, this one is a lot more structured, more rhyme. It's a bit different from the rest of my poetry. So this is Empty Frames. Empty minds, empty spaces, broken edges and broken places, dizzy highs and dropping lows. No one sees where the ferry goes. Cartesian soul in black and green, thick, thin, dull sheen, dizzy highs and dropping lows, brittle thorns of a brittle rose. Happy faces lost to bliss, scorched metal, savannah hiss, dizzy highs and dropping lows, perfect squares in imperfect homes, cracking walls and plaster brick, a long lost life breathes into it, dizzy highs and dropping lows, scents of juniper and sweet ambrose, crystal steps on a creaking floor and a broken heart in a broken door. The room is desolate, sterile and low. They turn away and watch it go. Alone again in a flawed old cage, folded edges of a picture, sage. Dizzy highs and dropping lows. Fairies perish with stories untold. Thank you.
Excellent. What I like about that is, and that's one I didn't know you did rhyming poetry. Rhyming poetry for me is a very, very hard art to master. I'm sure you must have read up on it yourself to get to a piece of that quality like that. Because did you find that quite a hard piece to write in contrast to the more normal blank verse?
I think it was harder than just being able to just write whatever. I wanted in context of the theme. I definitely used like rhyming dictionaries and things like that because
you tell me you used it. It's the way you used it. I think helped you there because I think the danger in your rhyme, it overpowers the poem, and that didn't. It was more your sounds at the end of it were a lot softer. It seemed that worked really well. Excellent, impressive. Okay, we're on to the big finale now, aren't we, Lily?
Yes, we are. I've got to choose the right one.
Or if you can do two, I'll do two if you want to do two. I don't mind. Okay.
Oh no, it's okay. So I'm going to read this one. I think this one is very personal, but I find poems like this very important to write because it's about mental health and personally my struggles with an eating disorder. And I'm not afraid to sort of say I struggled with that, and I'm not afraid to write about it and read that out loud because I want people to see I struggle, but I'm here now, and look at me now, and look what I'm going to go on to do. So this poem is primarily about that, and it's called Seeing Her. My heart broke into three when I lost you. The thirds of a God and of a mind that wanted everything and knew nothing. Two pin legs walked into the sun and fell from the sky where they touched the moon in its liquid reflection. And I watched from the safety of my bed. My curtains flutter like ravens' wings and part in intervals to show me that you are still there, drifting outside of my window on a cloud that slowly crumbles. My conscience needs to save you, but my head shouts no because you hurt me. The stars seemed brighter with you, the beauty purer and angelic like the curves of my face and the geometry of your jaw. With you, the days were shorter, easier, empty and full. Without you, I am heavy, weighted at my ankles with the terror of my fate and my sight. Months roll by and your cloud keeps failing, raining your tears and the sweat from the stress. But that's okay, because I don't need you anymore, because I don't love you anymore. Thank you.
Excellent way of finishing. I like the way you did it. You like you almost like you're looking outside of yourself there, and then from the past. And that's really, really effective writing. Oh, excellent. Really, really good stuff. Thank you for today, Lily. It's been a pleasure hearing you today. So good luck with the future of it, definitely. So right, hang around. I need to quick word you off mic. Well, thank you again. I've really enjoyed today. It's been a pleasure. So,
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, perfect. Now, thank you again. Now, hang around, obviously, like I said, need a quick word off mic. But this is Andy N. Thank you, everybody, tonight. Stay safe and stay over. See you all soon.
Spoken Label.